Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about the electronics industry and its future in India. I'll also give you a brief understanding of the evolution of this industry, how the industry evolved, and what is its future in India, what are its prospects. I'm going to discuss all those things in this video. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the rise of the electronic industry, which happened in the 20th century in the United States of America. Everything began with the power industry, which used to make motors and heavy electrical equipments like televisions, TV that you watch, and radios. Radios were made. All these equipments actually come under the category of the power industry. The main problem back then was the vacuum tubes which were used. These vacuum tubes are actually very bulky. They are very bulky, and they are not at all portable. So sophisticated devices couldn't be created using those vacuum tubes. You must have heard about computers which were the size of a room in the 20th century. So this was all due to this vacuum tubes. These vacuum tubes were the reason behind. I'm so sorry. These vacuum tubes were the reason behind all these problems. Then came the transistors, which was actually invented in 1947 in the Bell Labs in USA by William Shockley. Mr. William Shockley. He was awarded Nobel Prize for that, for his great contribution. This particular device is the transistor, particular form of transistor. This is called MOSFET, and this is a particular form of transistor. You might be wondering what a transistor is. It is actually the brain of every electronic device that you are using today is made up of this particular device called MOSFET. Obviously, a much smaller version of this is used inside the mobile phone chips or the computer processors. Everything is made of MOSFET. This MOSFET is actually a transistor, is a field effect transistor. FET is field effect transistor. Yes, as rightly written here, this device actually changed the world forever. Let's go into the chip fabrication part. Trust me, this is the most complex task. This is very, very complex. Everything here starts with sand. You must have heard that semiconductors are actually obtained from sand. So first thing we have to do is we have to take sand, which is SiO2, and we extract this silicon part. This is a very difficult task, to get purified silicon. We need very, very pure silicon. Even small impurities can just ruin the entire thing. So silicon is extracted from sand in fabrication units called fabs, which I'm going to call fabs, and each fab costs about $3 to $4 billion US. Can you imagine that? $3 to $4 billion US. Yes, that's the cost. And in India, if we are going to set a fab for the first time, that would cost us $14 billion US. That's approximate, and $14 billion US. Yes, right, you heard me right. See, this is the image of a fab where scientists are working in this laboratory. It seems like an IC word, but no, it's a fab. Fab is fabrication laboratory. You can imagine how much purity has to be maintained and how much cleanliness has to be maintained. This is called clean room, actually. Clean room, we call them clean rooms. So the next thing we are going to see is, you might be wondering why these fabs cost so much. The ICUs don't cost much. Like obviously they cost a lot to construct an ICU, but the fabs are way more costlier than an ICU, right? The main reason is that we can't allow even the smallest amount of humidity inside these labs. Also, static electricity is not allowed. Small dust particles, they can just destroy the entire thing, a single dust particle. Also, they consume a lot of power. Lot of power is consumed in these facilities. So these are the main reasons why fabs are so costly. Let's go for the next slide. Yes, now coming to the conclusion, can India become an exporter of electronics? I think yes, we can become an exporter, but for that we need to change a lot of things. First, see, we are still till now we are a large and net importer of semiconductor chips. We don't manufacture them. Some experts even say that we are spending even more money on semiconductors than even oil. Can you imagine that amount? Yes, that's true. We have got a lot of talent. Yes, this point has to be noted. We have got the premier institutes like IITs, IISCs, and such premier institutes and such talented brains come out of India. But still, the main problem that we are facing is with infrastructure. This is the biggest problem. We need a lot of fund to set up a fabrication laboratory in India. And for the first time, that's a lot of fund is required. You can imagine that how much fund is required. Let me give you an example. The Reliance India Limited has a total worth of about 71 billion US dollars, while a fab takes 14 billion US dollar to be set up for the first time. Can you imagine? Mukesh Ambani's net worth is 65 billion US dollars. And if you see the Indian Oil's net revenue, that's about $61 billion per year. And you need 14 billion, can you imagine, to set up a fab. So that's a huge amount. You can understand very well what is the point that I'm trying to make. Atma Nirbhar Bharat, I think, can become the turning point in the Indian economy if it is implemented well in the correct way. Also, we need a lot of investments and funds are needed to become self-reliant in chip manufacturing. I would like to conclude by saying that yes, this is the last chance for the Indian chip manufacturing industry to boom, and we have to take lessons from the countries like China, Vietnam, Japan, South Korea. They made great progress in chip manufacturing. We have to implement their process, and that's how we can become self-reliant in chip manufacturing as well. So that's all for today's lecture. Let's end it here.